My communicator was about to ping, and the short-term futures were quiet. Chimera wasn't going to try it. Pity. I waited for the voice in my ear to say my name before answering. Verus? "We're ready," Sergeant Little's voice said. "On my way," I replied, and turned. "Time to go." Chimera nodded. I could feel his eyes on my back, all the way down. The men were already assembled when we arrived. There were 20 council security, armed and armoured, led by a compact, tough-looking man with sharp blue eyes called Sergeant Little. Of the 2 keepers, I only knew one, a tall veteran with a long face who went by the name of Ilmarin. The other, Saffron, was a heavily built woman whose communication consisted mostly of grunts. "Our target's in the factory," I said, "both him and the people he's suborned. Sergeant, pick out enough men to cover the exits. The rest of us will go in through the front door." "ROE?" Sergeant Little asked. He meant the rules of engagement. It was a good question, and one with no good answer. Non-lethal where possible. Remember, these are civilians. The sergeant nodded slowly, though I could tell he was doubtful. One of the other men wasn't so reticent. "All due respect, sir, but that's going to be a bit hard if they're shooting at us." "I'll be on point," I said. "Keepers Saffron and Ilmarin will assist. We'll disarm as many as we can." "What about me?" Chimera said. "Your rear guard." "Why should I?" "Because Ilmarin and Saffron can subdue non-lethally," I said. "Ilmarin was an air mage and Saffron a mind mage. You can't, unless you are planning to burn them half to death." Chimera scowled. Fire mages are notoriously bad at using less than lethal force, and they don't respond well to criticism either. "You're going to prove something by going first?" I saw the faces of the security men shift, and several looked at Chimera with expressions that were a little too neutral. The Council has a habit of using its security forces as screening units, and if someone needs to be first through a door, then it's usually a Council security man who gets the job, in much the same way that one might poke a suspicious object with a long stick. Sometimes the object turns out to be a bomb, which is hard on the stick. The men, and it's almost entirely men, on the Council security forces know the risks of the job, and they're paid well, but no one likes to be reminded that they're expendable. Ilmarin shot Chimera a sharp glance, which the younger mage didn't notice. "Is this the kind of discipline keepers are taught nowadays?" I didn't raise my voice, but I didn't take my eyes off Chimera either. "You were assigned to my command. If you have a problem with that, get lost." Chimera glowered, but didn't answer. I waited a second, then turned back to the others. "Primary objective hasn't changed. Remember, there isn't any limit on the number of thralls this thing can maintain. It takes it a certain amount of time to bring someone under its control, but once it's got them, it keeps them. That means the longer we leave this problem, the worse it's going to get." "What about the bearer?" Sergeant Little asked. "No restrictions," I said. "Take him down anywhere you can." I would have liked to take the guy alive, but I was asking enough from the men as it was. I looked around. "Any questions?" The group looked at me. No one spoke. "Okay," I said. "Move out." Up close, the factory loomed like a monstrous shadow. Orange radiance from the streetlights lit up the upper walls, while the ground floor was shrouded in gloom. "One on the gate," Ilmarin said quietly into my ear. I nodded. I could have crept up and taken him down, but we could afford to take things slowly. "Saffron?" Saffron leaned around the railings, staring into the shadows surrounding the front door. I could feel the spell working, a kind of rhythmic pull. Mind magic is hard to detect. It's not easy to make out the details of a spell, even when you know what to look for. 30 seconds passed, a minute, then I saw a dark shape slump to the ground. The futures in which the alarm was raised vanished. We moved up, the security men trailing us. Once we reached the door, I clicked on my light, shining it down. The beam revealed a kid of maybe